Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another FIFA 22 video where today we are going to be explaining how you can become a better player in FIFA 22. This is a question that a lot of people I'm sure will ask over the year, and I wanted to give you some real proper advice rather than just the basics of get better tactics, get a better team, play more games, all the generic advice you might have already heard. I wanted to give you some things that I used and I use all throughout the year, and something that I teach some of my friends and how they have gotten better, how they've gone from being sort of Division 8, Division 9 players, and they're now Division 1 players. And this is the same advice that I gave them, and it's maybe taken them a FIFA or half a FIFA to achieve this, so it's not something that you will achieve immediately, but it's something that takes time. But as long as you are open-minded and willing to get better, you'll definitely improve and become a better player in FIFA 22. So going into the first tip, the first thing to do that you need to do is to set a target. Now you need to understand what skill level you currently are and where you want to achieve. If you just go into it with the basis of, I just want to get better at FIFA, you've not got anything to kind of gauge your progress against. You've not got anything to sort of compare against. So you need to set a target. You need to set a target. For example, I want to reach Division 4 at some point this year. That's a target. So if you're currently in Division 8, you're saying, I want to get to Division 4 at some point. So now you have a goal in mind rather than just simply saying, I want to get better. It's very hard to gauge if you actually are getting better and improving if you're just saying that. You need to have a specific target that you can work towards, and that you'll know when you hit that target, and you'll be able to see and look back and say, yeah, I have improved, rather than just having no target. You won't know if you've improved. Now, the second thing we want to get into is your mentality will define your success. Now, this is something that a lot of people do tend to kind of like look over and ignore. But the way you play FIFA is arguably, I would say, the most important reason why you will be a good player and you will get better, or you'll just be a rubbish player and you'll always be a bad player. If you're somebody that goes into the game and you're always blaming EA, or you're blaming your team, or you're blaming your tactics, or you're blaming the way other people play, there is no word of advice that will ever help and let you get better. You have to kind of go into becoming a better player and wanting to get better at the game with an open mind and open to criticism, and almost be overly self-critical. You need to almost like put everything on you. Even if you know something's not your fault, you kind of almost have to think there might have been something. If you do get a goal where you get absolutely screwed by EA, let's say, so let's say you make an absolutely perfect tackle and it just falls back to your opponent and he goes through and scores. What you have to then think is, okay, so how did he get the ball? Did I maybe give up a silly pass to give up possession? Rather than just focusing on the negative of I got screwed, maybe think about, was there something that I did wrong to give the ball up? And then, okay, yes, then I got screwed. And then you can work from there. But if you always have kind of that negative mindset when you play FIFA, you'll never get better. And that's just fact. You know, there's no like, you know, preachiness here. That's just fact. If you're always very negative and someone that's quite negative about the game and just your team and everything, you'll never get better. If you're someone who's open-minded and quite willing to get better and willing to accept criticism when it comes your way, you will far exceed those that are just constantly negative about the game. So you have to understand if you are someone who has good mentality or someone that has bad mentality. It's probably the most important thing about becoming a better player. Now, the third thing that we're going to get into is to identify your biggest weakness. So now we're moving on to actually getting better and the crux of getting better. You have to identify what you're worst at. So this sometimes can be quite difficult, but you have to kind of like think about, what am I worst at? Am I worst at scoring goals? Am I worst at defending? Am I worst at passing? Can I not do skill moves? Whatever it may be, that's the thing you have to work on, because at the end of the day, you're only as strong as your biggest weakness. So if you're really a great attacker, but you're a shocking defender, I guarantee you're probably in a low division. Or if you're really great at defending, but you're terrible at passing, you're probably in quite a low division, because you're only as good as your biggest weakness. So you need to make sure that you're working first and foremost on whatever you're worst at. Now, for me personally, my worst thing has always been defending. Now, my defending now is so much better than it used to be. I used to be an absolutely shocking defender, but a pretty good attacker. Now I'm still a very good attacker, but I'm a much better defender, because, you know, you have to work on whatever you're really bad at first. There's no point working on your attacking if you're already really good at attacking. There's no point you're an amazing attacker, there's no point in just adding new skill moves to make yourself an even better attacker and just saying, I'm just going to outscore people, because eventually you'll come up against someone who will outscore you and will eventually be able to beat you. So you need to make sure that you're working on whatever you're really bad at. You need to identify that and then go and source out the information. So if it is defending, go and watch defending tutorials. Go and ask people their opinion on your defending. You know, if you have a clip or something to show somebody, show somebody who's better than you. Hey, I'm really bad at defending. Is there something I did wrong here? You know, so you identifying whatever you're really bad at and then sourcing out the information to fix that. And then once you've fixed that, you can then go, right, now my defending's better. Okay, I'm really bad at passing. You know, I'm really bad at sort of passing in and around the box. Okay, and I'm going to go and source out the information to work on that. And that's how you slowly sort of build up your game and make your game more advanced, because you're working on what you're really bad at. Now, the fourth thing that will kind of move on and sort of rolls on from that third thing is recording your games will increase your success. Now, the reason why this works, and not everybody has the ability to record your games. PlayStation has a feature which allows you to record your games. You can get an Elgato for really cheap, even if you want to get a cheap one on eBay. It's very easy to be able to record your games nowadays, and this will massively increase your success versus somebody who isn't able to record your games. I know this works firsthand because obviously I make a lot of videos. I spend a lot of time sort of editing my own gameplay, and whilst I'm editing and watching my own gameplay, I'm able to see if I'm making mistakes. And the key thing again comes and links with the previous one is when you're identifying your weaknesses. I might be watching my games back and I might constantly see myself doing the same thing. I've already seen it so far this year. I've already seen a couple of things that I seem to constantly do. So now I'm able to kind of go, okay, I keep doing that thing. I've seen that 3 or 4 times now in 3 or 4 different games. That's obviously a weakness and something I'm not doing very well and I need to fix up. Now I have something to go and improve on. And once I've improved it, guess what? I'm now a better player. I'm now a more well-rounded player. So if you're able to record your games, you'll be able to see the mistakes that you're making. And then from that, you'll be able to obviously improve, work on those errors and make yourself a more well-rounded individual. Now, another thing that can be useful if you are somebody who doesn't know is learning basic skill moves can be a really, really important thing. And it's something that's more important once you start playing people who are sort of equally skilled to you or maybe even slightly better. Now, skill moves in general aren't, in my opinion, super effective this year, but it's always good to know. I still use skill moves. Now, if I'm playing someone who's worse than me, I don't really need skill moves because I'll be able to beat them with just pass and move, because there may be someone who maybe rushes out the defenders, they leave loads of space, and you don't really need to kind of like enter into that advanced way of playing. But when you start playing against better skilled opponents, you need to kind of pull out some things that, because the basic pass and move won't work. So you need to kind of pull out some simple things. Now, learning some basic skill moves, for example, a ball roll, a fake shot, a roulette, a heel to heel. They're the sort of skill moves that you want to be learning. They're the real basic ones that everyone should learn. And then once you've learned those ones, you can then start to add some more advanced. I have 3 or 4 advanced skill moves that I only really use because I only really need to use them against higher skilled opponents. So when we start getting into champs, starts getting a bit sweaty, that's when you'll start to need some of the more advanced things, because everybody's going to be better caliber players, and that's when you kind of need that little bit of an edge. So if you can learn some of the basic skill moves, just as we mentioned before, like the ball roll, like the fake shot, like the roulette, like the heel to heel, maybe the stop and turn, skill moves like that are really, really good to learn. And some of the more advanced skill moves that you want to learn, you don't really need them again until, you know, stuff like the skilled bridge or the 4-touch skill or the scoop turn fake or the first time spin. Those sort of advanced skill moves are only for when you come up against really high skilled players. But learning some of the basic skill moves will help you become a better player. And then one of the final things that really, really helps this year, especially because there's now obviously detailed stat tracking at the end of the game. It's a shame that it doesn't actually translate into the menu system. It doesn't have the same detail, but at the end of games, the amount of detail that is in the games, when we've got, for example, like the expected goals, and it shows you maps of, you know, when you lose possession and where you lose possession, where you've had possession or where you've made tackles or where your shots have hit on target or where they've been saved. There's so much detail that it is so easy to spot patterns of you making mistakes. If, for example, you get to the end of lots of games, consistent run of games, and your expected goals is really high, but you're not scoring, instead of taking it, and this comes back to the mentality, instead of taking it as a negative thing, and instead of taking it as a, oh, the goalkeeper's just saving everything, this game's rubbish, blah, 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 what you should be thinking is, I keep having really high expected goals, but I'm not scoring goals. Am I taking the right shots? Maybe I'm not shooting very well. And the mentality now comes into it because you've got that positive mentality of, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Again, if you're recording your games, you'll be able to see if you're taking bad shots. If you're not taking bad shots, okay, maybe then you're just getting a little bit unlucky. At the end of the day, the goalkeepers are allowed to make saves. Or if you're someone who you go, man, my pass accuracy is like 81%, you know, it's really, really low. I need to try and improve that. You'll be able to see on the passing tab, okay, I keep giving up possession in this area of the pitch, whether it be the middle of the pitch. Okay, I really need to look back. Okay, why am I giving up possession? So the end game, the end slate, the end stats are really, really important, and I think are going to be more crucial when we start getting to FUT Champs. Or it may even be just simply as you see a player in your team keeps getting a really, really low rating, keeps having really bad performances. Maybe that player just doesn't suit the way you like to play, so you could look to replace them and see if that improves. There's just so many areas that you can identify at the end of games with those stats, and so much detail that it should be very easy to spot patterns in which you're maybe doing things wrong, and then you can go and look and improve those things. So there's some of the biggest tips, and I use these exact tips when I was helping some of my friends over the last couple of months, over the last couple of years on getting better at FIFA, and now they've gone from being literally Division 10 really poor players to now they're sort of consistent Division 1, Division 2 players, and they're very, very good players. They get sort of Gold 1/Elite 3 in Champs. Now to go from being sort of a Silver 3 player all the way up to an Elite 3 player in sort of 6 to 8 months is a massive, massive jump. And if you follow these steps, I guarantee you will see success. Success will follow you as long as you have the positive mindset to improve and get better, and you're willing to accept criticism when it comes your way from people who are maybe better than you. And as long as you can take that advice on the chin and that it's not personal, you'll definitely improve and become a better player at FIFA. So hopefully you can take something away from this video that's going to help you become a better FIFA player. But if you enjoy the content, do drop a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. If there's any other content you'd like us to make, do let us know in the comment section down below, and we'll do our best to make it for you as the year progresses. But that is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.